What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'll break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, and a couple more tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the news affecting the markets, what's happening with our different indicators, and why I believe there's likely going to be a January pullback coming very, very soon. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I break down how the market is looking, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So look at the market. SPY has this nice rising wedge that has been developing as this thing's been making higher highs and higher lows. As of recently, it's been kind of stuck within this range. And I just want to mention that this range is showing us that SPY is getting hit with some tough resistance. Now, is it possible for SPY to get one more push, try to grab liquidity up here one more time? It is a possibility. But ultimately, I don't think that SPY is going to hold these levels for much longer. I believe that going into January, there's going to be a pullback. And the way I'm going to go about this would be based off the data, based off some technical indicators, and based off other things. I have a new strategy, and that is I'm going to be shorting, and please don't take this as financial advice, but I plan on shorting, SPY for expirations that go all the way out into like February. And then if it pumps a little bit more, I'll just continue to dollar cost average. That's like my really simple strategy. I believe that's going to work out very well. And I'll try to be as close to in the money as I possibly can be. Non-financial advice, guys. That's just one of my strategies. And I'm just going to use like a small position, not going to, take a massive position just yet. So we'll be watching that very carefully. Anyways, let's talk about some data. So for today, watch for some volatility at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 15 minutes after market open. We have the Chicago PMI. We want this to be between 50 and 51. And this could cause some volatility, so watch for that 15 minutes after market open. Besides that, that is it for data. There's nothing else that's too crazy. But what is crazy in terms of the options chain would be the fact that we have a 1.96 puts to call ratio over 1.6 plus million puts expiring. Will the market makers hold us up as a result of this, or are we about to get an early sell-off? We'll have to watch our levels just to be safe. On top of all of this, I just want to mention that when you look at the specific options chain, let me actually change this for today. You will notice something very interesting that's going on right here. So on the call side, options chain, right, where is it? It's right here, is showing some changes in volatility right now. There's actually not a whole lot going on when it comes to calls. Everything is very flat, not much volume either. But there is the 475 strike that has the highest open interest. And the volume is not as crazy until like these higher levels. So there's not much going on the call side. But on the put side, we're seeing a big increase in put buying, especially at that 475 strike with high volume. And also 476. So this is a little suspicious. Are we about to see the market close a little bit red to end the year? There's a possibility of looking at this. So we're just going to be a little bit careful in looking at this. A couple of things to know before the market opens, just to be really quick when it comes to news. There's news coming out that the S&P 500 is within 0.28% of all-time highs. It could touch all-time highs and come back down, but I don't think the move will last much longer. On top of all of this, there's some news coming out about how the pandemic ushered a big period of spending on everything from home improvement to travel. Inflation brought prices up, but prices dropping, demand waning. This in essence is actually affecting a lot of companies out there. So it's worth noting, and many of them are now facing cost-cutting ideas and different changes. On top of all of this, there's some new records coming out when it comes to financing being poured into business for this year, but this is going to likely decrease as the year goes on. That's pretty much it for now when it comes to different pieces of news. Some news about Boeing has also come out about a possible loose bolt, which is kind of negative, but that's pretty much it for one of their planes. Going back, as a reminder, guys, the Fear and Greed Index is at extreme greed. This is typically when the market gets ready for a pullback, which should be coming in January. And don't forget that SPY also happens to have a triple bearish divergence. This wasn't working as well in December, but I think there's a good chance it might finally start to work this time because of all the confluence of different indicators. So let's break down how things are going. I think SPY has a pullback coming in January. That's my opinion. I think it's very probable. I think we pumped so much. And is it possible for us to hold up within this range for an extended period of time? It is possible we hold up for some more time, Going into January, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this thing start to cool off, at least by then, and start a very, very healthy sell-off. So just to be safe when it comes to today, watch 476 on SPY as our support, watch 477.5 to 478 as our resistance, and if we break 478, there's 480. I think that, we're in a topping process. The top is going to be between 477.5 to 480. I think that there's not much upside left. I think it's been pumping too much, and it's finally time for us to cool off. We're very overbought. We have bearish divergences. The option chain suggests that we might see a little drop, and then on top of that, the fear and greed index is at extreme greed. That's enough for me to say that we're likely going to see a pullback in January. I'm going to prepare you guys now because you have a really good opportunity at these highs to take advantage of it. Instead of just saying, it's going to just hold up and that's it, I want to just talk about the future. I think there's going to likely be a nice opportunity, good opportunity in January, and that's my view. Watch support at 475 as well. If that fails us, then we have 474, 473.8, then we have 472 below that. Today we could kind of chop around, could get one more liquidity grab and just a lot of sideways price action, eventually start selling off early next year, or it could start like much sooner. So we'll be watching this very carefully. I think a pullback is still imminent for January. For the QQQ, we're going to be watching if we can get a backtest of this 412 area. If we kind of chop around here, it might try to make its way back in, but this is starting to look bearish as we got to break out of this rising wedge. So I anticipate that by January, there's going to be a pullback to at least 408 or even below that. I think a pullback is coming very soon. Could we hold up for one more day, kind of hold around the 412s? It is possible, but I think that going into January, first 2 weeks of January especially, a pullback is coming, and I think a very, very healthy move is about to be made, and there's going to be big opportunity when looking at this. Watch 412 as resistance, 413, and we have 413.5 above that. Watch support at 411, then we have this 410 support right over here, and below 410, we have support at 409.25, followed by 408. I think the pullback is coming for January. That's my view, guys, and I think that this is some opportunity. There's opportunity that's coming. We could hold up today and just kind of jump around a bit, possibly, or the pullback could start early, so we'll just have to wait and see, but the pullback is still imminent. For Nvda, we have a nice rising wedge. Could this thing push one more time to 498 to 500? Yes, it could. Could hold up for one more day, but going into next year, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing starts to pull back in January as well. I think the market's due for it. I think that we have this rising wedge that's still forming on Nvda right over here. So I think that this is going to ultimately lead to some downside soon. Going into January, give it some time though. Nvidia's might take a little bit longer. I could grab liquidity again between 498 to 500, but then I see some kind of pullback coming by the second week of January or so. So just give it the time it needs. Don't forget to watch these levels, by the way. We have 500 as our resistance. We have 504. We have support, also resistance at 498. Support is at 495. Then we have 492, 490, and 488. I still think a pullback is imminent soon. May not start today, but in the future, I see it coming. What about for Tesla? How do I think Tesla's going to move? Well, Tesla's going to be different from the market because it depends on if it holds 252, because it's looking a little weak right now in the pre-market. We have to try to hold 252. If we do try to hold this, there could be an attempt to get back into like the 258 area before it comes back down and trades kind of sideways. If it fails, if it kind of like pops and drops, if we lose 252, I'm going to turn more bearish, and I think that's going to start sinking down to for 250, followed by 247. So when we watch to see if we could hold support right over here. However, don't worry too much about Tesla at the same time, because even if it does sell off just a bit, what's going to dictate this more is going to be its deliveries. Deliveries for January is going to be much bigger for it. So even if it does come down today, it's going to be completely normal. It could still pump and squeeze going into early next year if we get some strong deliveries. If the deliveries are just kind of like as expected or not as strong, then won't be the best for Tesla, but there's still potential for it to make a big move, and deliveries is going to be a big determiner of that. So make sure you watch this carefully. Let's see how it holds 252. Watch and see if it holds above that range. If it does hold above it, we could see one more attempt to go up and just trade sideways in the 250s. That's what I think is the most probable thing for Tesla. But if we lose 252, I would turn more bearish again. I think there's more downside coming. So watch that very carefully. With that being said, we also have Aapl. Aapl is going to be key as well. Aapl is still stuck within the yellow range I called out. Resistance at 194.4, support at 193.5. Whichever way it breaks will determine which way this thing goes. If we lose 193.5, it's going to be sinking down to 192.5. If it breaks 194.4, watch for 195 plus. Watch this range on Aapl where the yellow lines are. It's kind of stuck so far, so we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, guys, it is possible for the market to try to hold up with all the puts expiring for today. But going into January, like I said, guys, I'm anticipating a pullback. I think the market's going to pull back. It may not happen immediately, but give it some time into January. That's my opinion. And that's the reason why I mentioned what I said. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys very soon for the next video of the day. Thank you and peace out.